What is happening, guys? Kadi Plays here, bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a deck profile and combo guide for a newer deck in the format, Tri-Brigade branded Tri-Brigade. This has been made possible by the Newborn Dragon Selection Pack release, where we introduce cards like Mirrojade and Branded Fusion, Mercourier, so on and so forth. This was a pretty popular deck in the TCG, slightly different, but pretty popular there nonetheless, and it's gained a lot of popularity in Master Duel. Uh, I was requested to make a video about this in the comment section of the tier list, as I talked about this deck a decent bit there, and I think it's very, very competitive in the current format. I don't know if it's the best Tri-Brigade list. I'm still not convinced it's better than Tri-Zoo, but it's just different. So I'm going to go and jump into the deck profile really quickly. Then I got 4 combos to show you, 4 pretty basic combos, showing off the branded stuff. I'm not going to show like old school Tri-Brigade combos because if you're here learning about the new version of Tri-Brigade, you probably already know about the old one. But if you'd like to see like an old school combo guide for Tri-Brigade, tell me down below and I'll make that video happen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about it. Also, I want to note this is a Master Duel video, so I'm sorry that it's being recorded on Dueling Book. I mentioned this in another video, but my PC is completely seen better days. It's bit the dust, so I'm recording on my laptop, and my laptop just can't run Master Duel. So I'm on Dueling Book, so hopefully that will switch in the future where I'll be able to record on my computer again and get like actual Master Duel gameplay, but for now, we're stuck with Dueling Book with the just with the Master Duel meta. So let's jump right in. I got this broken down into starters, quote unquote, to start off the list up here. So 3 Rescue Cat. This is the best starter in the deck. This is like what you want to see in your opening hand pretty much every single time. It is very susceptible to hand traps, but it's also very good if it doesn't get hit by hand traps. Like this is absolutely insane if it doesn't get hit. It gets you into 2 tries, which gets you into a search, a send, a search, and a link on the board just off 1 card. So it starts your combos off very, very nicely if you're able to see this. Then we got Double Fractal. Sadly, this is at 2. So we can only play 2. You'd play 3 if you didn't. This is also a really great starter. These are kind of going to be the center focus of our 2 best combos that we can do in this deck. And then 2 10 keys because, obviously you search Fractal off 10 key, and this is also a 2. So, yeah, there's only 4 fractals. Kind of sad. But, is what it is. Then we got Triple Kit, Triple Nerval, pretty standard, 1 Foolish Burial. I kind of consider all of these like pseudo starters. If you open these, any of these, like plus another Tri-Brigade, you can play. So it's pretty nice. Then Double Karas. Karas is like I think it's less of a starter than the other ones because it needs more cards in your hand to play, and usually you need one of the Karases or Nervals, or sorry, one of the kits or Nervals, but all of these, from the kits to the Nervals to the Karases, like they all need more cards with them to really function at like a high level, where the Fractals to a lesser extent can like function by themselves. Not amazingly, but they can. But the Rescue Cat can like excel by itself. So this is kind of just the trajectory of our starters. They go from better to worse. And then we got the 1 Revolt here for Tri-Brigade cards. This card's absolutely insane. I don't know why a card like this was ever printed, but it single-handedly makes this deck like what it is. Then for the branded cards, we got the 1 Mercourier, which dubs over as Tri-Brigade card, so that's why the synergy here is so great, because this is searchable, sendable off your kits and chaoses, and it gets effects when it's banished, which the Tri-Brigades are known for. Then we got the 1 Fallen of Albaz, the 1 Albion, the 1 Branded Fusion, and the 1 Branded Sword. These are all essential for the combo. The Branded Sword basically gets sent off the Albion to get the mark back to your hand, so you have a monster negate. When you have the Mirrojade on board, it's a really cool little combo. So you guys will see that in the video. It's pretty nice. But not a big branded engine, pretty small. You really don't want to go more than this because you want to play a lot of hand traps in this deck. Then speaking of, we play a lot of hand traps. I'm on 15 right now. I think the best ones in the game are Max C, Ash Blossom, Effect Veiler, Imperm. Nibs are okay. DD Crow is really good in this deck because it's searchable, which is why you would play something like this, because it's searchable in this deck, in the main board at least. This is definitely a side deck card, but it might not be a main deck in other decks, so if you don't want to main deck this, you don't have to. You can just side deck it and sub in like a 3rd Nibiru. Or I've also got a suggestion down here is the Gamma package. So drop down to 14 hand traps, but play the 2 Gammas and the 1 Driver as opposed to the 2 Nibs and the 1 Crow. You'll be good to go. You're going to see a lot of success that way too. But Either way is fine. And then you can also sub in the Omega if you want, or any of this stuff, which I'll talk about in a minute. Then we got the double Called by the Grave. This card's absolutely a necessity because all of these hand traps are really, really good. And this stops them except for Imperm and Nib. Yeah. And then Crossout is really good because it stops all of the hand traps and called bys and a lot of other stuff that a lot of people play. So yeah, it's really great. Nothing to say about these cards. They're pretty much mandatory in every single deck. Then moving on, so like I was talking about, we got the driver and the two gammas and the one driver. You can sub those in for the nibs and the crow if you want. Totally up to preference, like whatever you want to play. You don't even have to play the ones that I'm suggesting. You can go play ghost spells, or you can go play whatever you want. Honestly, whatever hand traps you want, whatever defensive cards you want to play, you can do it. You can play droplets. I don't love droplet in this deck as much as I do in other decks, because I like to see like combinations like multi hand traps, and I don't think droplet plus hand trap is very good, but I think hand trap plus hand trap is. So if you're going to go that route, I don't think you should play droplets with hand traps. I think you should play droplets with like other board breakers, but it's just a completely different strategy in my opinion. But that's a whole different video for a different day. Moving on to some other extra deck options, we got Omega, Dark, another Bear Brum, and another Omen. I'll talk about these right now because, as you can see, the extra deck's only got 14 cards in it. I'm currently playing one Bear Brum, double Mirrojade, one Rugal, double Omen, one Almirage, one double Dragon Lord, one Doom Eagle, one Appaloosa, one Access Code, one Verte, one Mirrorjade, and one Brigand. So these are all necessities in my opinion. I think you have to play this lineup. The only thing that's like kind of debatable in this is you could take out one Farajit, and it's not that big of a deal. So you really have two flex spots here that you can play whatever you want. I like the double Farajit because I think it comes up in the grind game a decent bit. If you're playing the Gamma, you should be playing Omega because you have that extra spot. But if not, you sub in a Dark, sub in another Bear Brum, sub in another Omen. Sometimes you will make 3 Omens, so having a third one is pretty cool. Definitely not necessary though. I also want to note this is Master Duel, so you might not have crafting resources for a third Omen. So if you don't, just play something that's a super rare, like the Bear Brum or the Dark. Yeah, it's pretty much up to you guys, like whatever you want. All my combos are just going to be showing these cards though, like none of this stuff up here. So yep. Moving on, let's go and jump over to the first replay here I got prepared for you guys. And it's a pretty standard replay. It's just a 1-card combo. It's just Rescue Cat. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward here. I just went ahead and added, I want to note that I just went ahead and added a random card. Like I just shuffled back something that would have helped in my hand to just add something that's only going to be useful on my opponent's turn or for a discard. And this is a Rescue Cat combo, no other Tri-Brigade monsters needed. So, yep. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So we're going to summon the Rescue Cat. Rescue Cat's effect is going to activate to summon out a Keras and a Kit from the deck. We're then going to link off into a Farajit. We're going to get Kit's effect activating to go send Nerval from our deck to the graveyard. Nerval's effect is then going to activate to search a Tri-Brigade from our deck to our hand. We're going to add the Fractal. So I like to add Fractal here. You can add pretty much whatever Tri-Brigade you want. It doesn't really matter. But the reason I like to add Fractal is because for the grind game, Kit and Nerval are much better in the deck than a Fractal is. Fractal's really good in the grind game, but Nerval and Kit are both better because they act as normal summons that can be used to, banish stuff from the graveyard to summon out a link, but also if they're removed from the field, they get you more follow-up. Because, the Kit's going to get you into a Nerval, and the Nerval's going to get you into another Tri-Brigade. So it's like a nice little loop you can kind of pull off to grind for a decent while in a deck like this. So use those Fractals early on, is my opinion, if you have to. Right? So we're going to summon out the Fractal with the Farajit effects, then we're going to banish 4 from our graveyard. We're able to banish 4 because the Rescue Cat is banishable by this because it's a beast. Then we're going to go into the Omen. Omen no effect here because there's nothing on board to banish. Obviously, if you're going second, your opponent's got something on the board, banish it. There's no reason not to, but this will probably be a different play if you're going second, but can't really account for that. Then we're going to link off the Omen and the Fractal into a Bear Brum. Omen's effect is going to activate, which when it's into the graveyard, you can search a beast, wing beast, or beast warrior from your deck to your hand equal to, with a level equal to or less than the number of beast, wing beast, or beast warriors that are banished. So we got 4 here, so we're able to search a level 4 or lower. We're going to add the Mercourier from our deck to our hand. Then we're going to activate Bear Brum's effect, which allows us to discard 2 cards from our hand to summon one of our banished Beast, Wing Beast, or Beast monsters. So I wanted to make a note here. Merc plus any other card besides the Fusion, Sword, Albaz, or Albion. Technically, you can dump Albion here, but you shouldn't because that's going to get you a +1 later in the turn. So, but if you send it to the graveyard here, you're still going to be able to make the play, but you're just not going to get the +1. So yeah, so Merc plus any other card. That's why I didn't discard the sword here, just for that reason. Then we're going to summon back out the Nerval. You can summon out any Tri-Brigade that you haven't used off the Bearbrum's effect, and the Nerval's effect is going to banish 2. Make sure you banish the Mercourier and then any other card to summon out the double Dragon Lords. Then Merc's effect is going to activate, which when it's banished, if this card is banished, you can add from your deck to your hand one Fallen of Albaz or one monster that mentions it except Mercourier. So that's pretty cool. And what that's going to get us is the aforementioned Albion. That's pretty awesome. And because what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to get a +1. Sorry about that. So I'm going to skip up here a little bit. I'm going to pause it. If you drew sword, don't Albion here. Just wait to put it back with Blossom. Sorry, my typing there was terrible. So what I mean by that is what you could do right now is you could use Albion's effect, which is if this card is in your hand or in your graveyard, you can send one Fallen of Albaz or one Branded Spell or Trap from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and then apply the following effects based on the card sent. If you send it from your hand, you special summon this card. If you send it from your deck, you place this card on the bottom of your deck, and then if you place this card from your hand, you draw a card. That's why you want it in your hand, not in the graveyard. So that's why you don't discard it. That's what I was talking about earlier. And you don't want to send the sword from your hand to the graveyard, because then you're going to summon the Albion, and that's not what you want. You want to send this back to the deck to draw a free card. So we're going to go and keep playing here. The combo, it depends on like your hand, right? But if you have sword in your hand, do it like I did, where you just link off the Tri-Brigade, so the Nerval or the Kid or the Carrot, like whatever it is that you summon back that hasn't used its effect previously, that just summoned out the Dragon Lord. So you send it and the Fractal and the Blossom to the graveyard to go summon out your Verte. And then Blossom's effect is going to activate, allowing you to draw a card and then shuffle a card back into the deck. You're going to then put the sword back. What you could previously have just done was, if you didn't have the sword in your hand, you still have the Mirrojade and the Nerval on board, you can just go Albion effect, send the sword, put it back on the bottom of the deck, draw a card. Right? But it doesn't matter what order you do it in unless you have the sword in your hand. I hope that makes sense. But that's the best way I know how to explain it. Then we're going to activate Albion's effect here. It's going to go ahead and send the sword, like I mentioned, from the deck to the graveyard. And we're going to put the Albion on the bottom of the deck and draw a card. We're then going to activate Branded Sword's effect. You banish this card. I'm sorry I didn't do it there. I fixed that mistake later. And you banish it to add the Mercourier back from your banish pile to your hand. So you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished monsters that is Fallen of Albaz or mentions it. Add that monster to your hand. So pretty nice. We're going to then use Verte's effect that we summoned earlier to pay 2,000 life points to send the Branded Fusion and the Fallen of Albaz from our deck to the graveyard. Then in combination with that, we're going to send the Bearbrum from our field to the graveyard to summon out a Mirrojade onto the board. That's then going to trigger Bearbrum's effect to search the Revolt. You got to send the Bearbrum here. You don't want to send anything else because then you're not going to be able to use it, because Verte locks you after you use it. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn after you use its effect. And then there, I just went ahead and banished the sword because I made the mistake earlier, and I think I noted. Sorry, you have to banish the sword to get Merc back from the banish pile. Yep. Then during the end phase, we got a pretty insane board here, if I do say so myself. We've got a Mirrojade banish. I'm going to go ahead and type it all out here so it's on screen for you guys to look at. So the end board, I have a Mirrojade. We have a Mirrojade non-target monster banish. Should note that it's only monsters. The Brigand end phase search a try or special summon a try. Should note that. Merc in the hand effect to negate a monster effect. The double Dragon Lord's effect can bounce a card, one face-up card on the field, back to the hand. Then we then have Revolt to go into Omen for a non-targeting banish, plus a search off the Nerval, and a search off the Omen if it gets sent from the field to the graveyard. And yeah. And we've also got 3 other cards in rotation, whether that be in our hand or set on the field that we drew into or had in our hand earlier. Obviously, in this situation, we have a Called By and a Max C, which is absolutely insane. The Called By would get set, and the Max C would just be used to stop our opponent even further. But all in all, this is a really powerful combo. It's just a 1-card Rescue Cat turns into all of this. So definitely try to use this in some of your games. It's really, really powerful. I will note that it's kind of susceptible to hand traps. Obviously, one Veiler, one Imperm kind of shuts this down, but you know, sometimes you just lose to hand traps. There's not much you can do about it. Moving on to the second combo here. This is going to be a Fractal plus any Tri-Brigade monster except itself. So what I did was I just put out back the engine that, we don't really want to have in our hand because I wanted to show the natural combo. And we got Fractal plus Keras. So we're going to go and start off here. Like I said, Fractal plus any Tri but itself. I'm going to speed this up, go a little bit faster. We're going to use Fractal's effect to send the kit from our deck to the graveyard. Kit's then going to send Nerval. Nerval's effect is going to search Mercourier from our deck to our hand. We're then going to normal summon our other Tri-Brigade to go into, to banish 2 to go into Mirrojade. Sorry, that was a little bit fast for me. To summon out the Mirrojade, we are then going to use the Bearbrum's effect to summon out the Mercourier from our hand. Then we're going to link off the Keras and the Mercourier into a Bearbrum. We're then going to use Bearbrum's effect to discard 2 cards from our hand to summon a banished Tri-Brigade. We're going to then summon the Fractal back onto the board. Fractal's effects can activate to banish 2. Banish the Mercourier. Make it super important that you do that. To summon out double Dragon Lords. Mercourier's effect is going to activate, similar to last game. Not to search the sword. To search Albion. I made a mistake there. You add the Albion from your deck to your hand. And then you activate Albion to send the sword from your deck to the graveyard to draw a card. The sword effect activate, banish itself to add the Mercourier back from our deck to our hand. We're then going to link off with the Mirrojade and the Fractal to go into a Verte Anaconda. We're then going to activate Mirrojade's effect to draw a card, then put a card from our hand back to the bottom of the deck. Activate Verte, spend 2,000 life points, pay 2k, send the Branded Fusion, send the Albaz, fuse with the Bearbrum and the Albaz into a Mirrojade. Bearbrum effects can activate to search out the Revolt from our deck to our hand, and then put a card from the hand back on the bottom of the deck. And we end with a pretty good board here. Very similar to the first game. It's actually exactly the same as the first game. We just have one less card in our hand, as you can probably note. So I'm going fast forward here. So in board, we have a Mirrojade send the Braggon for a non-targeting monster banish. In phase, Braggon's going to get a search or summon a Tri-monster. Merc and hand effect to negate a monster effect. Pretty cool. Double Dragon Lords bounce a face-up card back to the hand. Revolt into Omen for non-targeting banishing on anything. Nerval search a Tri, and Omen search a monster if sent to the graveyard. Plus, you got one random card in your hand. So pretty good. In this case, it was an Imperm, so you just set that, and you're going to be good to go. So again, this combo is very, very strong. For the third combo, we have Keras plus Kit. So in this hand, I also didn't shuffle the Albion back because sometimes you're just going to draw an Albion and it just means you're going to end with less, which sucks, but it just happens sometimes. So like I said, noting that's Keras plus Kit here. We're going to start off with the Keras effect, discard the Kit to special summon the Keras. Kit's effect is going to activate to go send the Nerval from our deck to the graveyard. Nerval's effect is going to activate that inserts a Mercourier from our deck to our hand. We're going to activate Keras' effect to banish 2 from the graveyard to summon a Mirrojade from the extra deck. You'll see this is very standard. Then with Mirrojade's effect to summon the Mercourier. We don't normal summon in this combo, so that's something to note. I guess you don't need... It would be kind of cool, like, if your opponent Veilered this or Imperm this for whatever reason and they didn't do it on the Keras, you kind of go super plus there because you can just normal summon the Merc out, and it's really, really good. But no one's going to do that. Everyone's just going to Veiler or Imperm the Keras. And then we're going to link off with the Keras and the Merc into a Bearbrum. Bearbrum's effect again is going to activate to discard 2 cards. Sadly, we don't have anything good to discard, of course, because the Merc is already in the graveyard. To summon out the Kit from the graveyard, we're then going to banish 2. Make sure you banish the Merc if you don't have Albion in hand. If you do, it doesn't really matter. I went ahead and just activate the Merc, I think, just to show you that Merc effect to search Albion here if you didn't draw it, sadly, which we did draw it. So you would have an extra card if that happened. Then you're going to Albion effect, send the Branded Sword, just put it back on the bottom of the deck to draw a card. Again, this is all super common. Like, we've been doing this in pretty much every single combo video. Banish Sword, use its effect to get the Merc back, then link off the Mirrojade and the other Tri-Brigade into a Verte. Mirrojade effect, draw a card, put a card back on the bottom of the deck. Verte effect, pay 2k, get that Branded Fusion into the graveyard with the Albaz, with the Bearbrum to go into the Mirrojade. Don't flip a coin here. I'm just bad and misclick all the time on this platform. Summon out the Mirrojade Bearbrum effect, search the Revolt out, and put back the card you just drew. And then, yeah, we end with a very similar board. Just, again, just less cards at the end of all of this. You just end with less cards in your hand, so less interruptions in the form of hand traps or interruptions in the form of like called by, whatever it might be. But the end board itself is the same. We end on a Mirrorjade non-target monster banish, the Sin the Briagde, and in face he searches or summons a Tri-Brigade. Very similar to all the other combos. Can't stress that enough. Merc in hand to negate a monster effect. Double Dragon Lord's bounce a face-up card back to the hand. Revolt into Omen for non-targeting banish anything, plus Nerval Search, plus Omen Search if it's sent to graveyard, plus a card in hand if you didn't draw the Albion, like I did. Very, very sad. Moving on to the final combo, we have a Karas plus a Nerval. So I also drew the Albion in this one, and I just didn't put it back because there's no reason to. Like, you're gonna draw Albion sometimes. There's nothing you can do about it. You just need to know how to like manage your resources better in those situations. So we're gonna start off with Karas effect, discard the Nerval to summon itself out. We're then gonna go Nerval effect to search a kit. Normal summon the kit, link off into an Mirrojade. Kit's effect is gonna activate to send a Mercourier from the deck to the graveyard. We're then gonna use Kit's effect to banish the Merc and any other Tri-Brigade to summon out the Bearbrum. We're then gonna use the Merc here if we hadn't drawn the Albion, like I did, sadly. Albion effect, send the sword to the graveyard, put that back, draw a card, activate sword, add the Merc back. I drew into a Nerval, so I want to note this. I think I noted it in the chat. Yeah. Assume you didn't draw into another Tri-Brigade monster like I just did. Because if you didn't draw into another Tri-Brigade monster, you're going to have to summon Mercourier off the Mirrojade effect like I just did. But if you did draw another Tri-Brigade, just keep the Merc in hand, because then you're good. Then we're going to link off the Merc and the Karas into a Bearbrum. Bearbrum's effect is going to activate to discard 2 cards to summon back out one of our Tri-Brigades that hasn't used its effect. We're going to summon out Nerval. Nerval effect activate to banish 2. And we're going to go into a Double Dragon Lords as we've done every single game. Then link the Nerval and the Mirrojade off into a Verte as we've done every single game. Mirrojade effect activates, draw a card, put a card back. Verte effect pay 2k, dump the Branded Fusion, dump the Albaz, dump the Bearbrum into a Mirrojade. Bearbrum effect activates to search your Revolt and put back the other cards you drew. So again, the end board is the same as it's been pretty much every other time, except in this situation, we don't have a Merc, which is really, really unfortunate. We end with a Mirrojade non-targeting monster banish, then we send the Bragam to searches or summons a Trider in the end phase. We have Double Dragon Lords to bounce a face-up card back to the hand. Sorry about that. We have Revolt to summon Omen for non-targeting banish on anything, plus the Nerval Search, plus the Omen Search if it's sent to graveyard. And then you also have the Mirrojade, which you should definitely keep. I think I noted earlier in the chat that you can keep the Mirrojade or use this effect to get rid of it if you want. You shouldn't do that. You should keep the Mirrojade. Because if you keep the Mirrojade, you get a free destruction protection on one of your monsters by tributing it. So yeah, that is pretty cool. And then you also get a +1 if you didn't draw the Albion, sad face, because it sucks to draw Albion. But yeah, that is going to do it for the combo. Jumping back over here to the deck profile, there's really not much else to say about this deck. This deck is hyper consistent. It plays a very consistent engine. It combos off 1 or 2 cards very, very easily. Those cards are mostly searchable. They search each other out. It's pretty consistent. You're able to play 12 to 15 hand traps in a deck like this, which is absolutely insane. This deck's really good going first. It's really good going second. It's really good in all formats, to be honest with you. So you can't really go wrong with this list if you want to play a deck like this. If you want to play like a mid-range option that's not Sword Soul or Despia, I think this is a great option. And even if you, yeah, I love this deck. There's not much to say about it other than that it's super consistent, super fun, very powerful, and you can't go wrong with it. But that is going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And also, in the comment section down below, let me know what future videos you'd like to see. If you'd like to see more combo and deck profiles in the future, I can definitely do that. Or if there's anything else specifically you'd like to see that I haven't been doing, just let me know, and I'll definitely consider it. But yeah, that being said, thank you guys again, and I will see you in the next video.